Okay, so welcome back. So yesterday, in the previous module, we talked about this C&D waste management rules, and today I'll kind of go over some of the basics of what is a C&D waste. So although we talked about that as part of the rules as well, so I'll go a little bit more in detail in terms of what are the different types of C&D waste. In fact, what are the different components of C&D waste, how they are managed, how they are being managed globally, and we'll talk about in Indian context as well. So let's get started. So in terms of the C&D waste management, C&D waste is solid waste produced during construction, renovation or demolition of buildings. It could be buildings, roads, bridges or any man-made structure. So as listed here, it's any waste that is produced during construction, renovation and demolition of buildings, roads, bridges and other man-made structures. So any structure that we made, so when it is undergoes some sort of, during the construction also we produce some waste. During renovation, if you're doing a renovation of a building, you will produce some waste. Demolition, and sometimes during the natural disaster, say recently we have had flood situation in several cities in the country. This particular last monsoon was a very severe monsoon. So we had even in Bombay after 2005 we had a biggest rainfall this year. So and several few buildings collapsed. So we had some structures being damaged. So those are all becomes like a disaster waste. It's a natural disaster waste, but it's a disaster waste. Few years back, if you remember, the thing that happened in Uttarakhand, in Rishikesh and the area above Rishikesh, so those we had a lot of disaster debris. So those are again part of construction and C&D. C&D is construction, demolition and disaster debris. So it's all three together, and the disaster debris is the most nastiest one. Then is the demolition. Demolition is since there are a lot of things gets mixed up. Construction waste would be the most easy to handle because you can keep it clean. When I say you can keep it clean, means you can we have better control on the construction waste. We can put concrete separately, we can put drywall, we can put the wood if you are using drywall, bricks, masonry. So all these different materials can potentially be kept separate, and that can be used at the construction site itself or maybe some other application. Demolition, since you have, say now the building is already made, there could be certain things on the building which cannot be removed. For example, you had like a lead-based paint painted on the wall, so now you cannot remove that lead-based paint from the wall. You can, but you have to scrape it through, but even then you will have some little bit of traces of lead left. So that becomes more difficult to do. So in terms of demolition will be may have some contamination as well, because you cannot really avoid those contamination because certain types of chemicals are used in certain product which are used in houses, and which is already becomes integral part of the house, like the wall paint, or even you do something on the ceiling, or you do some flooring stuff which has certain chemicals, those mosaics and other stuff. So there could be certain things could be there which can have presence in the demolition waste. But when you go to the disaster debris, whether it's a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, it's the most nastiest material, because that then you have even the furnitures from the houses, electrical fittings from the houses, and electrical appliances from the house, from that building. So all those, and there could be a lot of other things in there. So all these things are now mixed up. So disaster debris, recycling of disaster debris is the most difficult in terms of if you think about construction waste, demolition waste and disaster debris. So if you think in three broad categories, construction waste would be easier to handle, then demolition waste, and then the disaster debris will be the toughest to handle in part of these three stream. So, but in terms of what are the different, how they are generated, so we have in the construction sites, we get construction C&D waste, demolition sites, renovation, you may have some land clearing debris where you are doing some cleanup after disaster, and the disaster debris. So those are, and also you several pictures of Hurricane Katrina, and I think Haiti disaster as well. I have put after the Haiti earthquake few years back, almost like 10 years back now, we had a chance to go there. So I'll show you some pictures from there as well. And Hurricane Katrina, which was one of the biggest hurricane right now, actually this year also the hurricane season in US, they are getting some big hurricanes coming up. But in 2004, if I remember correctly, or in 2005, either of those 2 years, we had this It's a very active hurricane season, and Hurricane Katrina came and that actually basically damaged a lot of properties, especially in Louisiana. New Orleans was one of the worst hit area, and we had a chance to visit that area and do some research in that area. So I'll show some of the data from there. So in terms of the C&D waste, any waste coming from construction, renovation, demolition, buildings, roads, bridges, or any man-made structure. So sources either from the construction site, demolition sites, renovation sites, land clearing debris. So you have debris from before, disaster debris. So those are what is there in a C&D waste. So with that, let's go to the next slide, where it says what are the major components now. So I already told you what are the major sources. So from the sources, if you can just think about those sources, when we say construction or demolition or disaster, of course the concrete will be there, brick will be there. Asphalt is in Indian context, we don't use that much asphalt in our houses. If you go and even if you look at the pictures of houses from say North America or certain parts of Europe and other places, you see the roofs are in a slanted roof, and they use the tiles, and those are asphalt tiles, especially the individual houses. Office buildings maybe now the flat roof, but most of the individual houses you will see the roof will something like this, like in a what you see if you go to the like Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand and those areas. There also we have something in this sort, or in Jammu Kashmir. Most of the houses you will see those older houses as well, like like in a typical hut shape that we used to, like a triangle shaped roof. Why it is triangle shaped roof? Because when it in North America, when you have the rainfall, or if it's too much of rain or too much of snow, it can just go down. It doesn't have to stay. Otherwise, if it's like this, you have a lot of build up the snow, and the weight of water is a lot. So weight that actually increases the dead weight of the structure, and that like a load on the structure, I would say, and that leads some of the structural failure also happened like a couple of years back in New York State in the area of Buffalo. Some of these big buildings, because they had this roof is flat, they had the snow build up of around, they were talking about maybe around 3 to 4 feet. So with the snow buildup of 3 to 4 feet, this building had like too much of load on those slab, and the slab collapsed, and it's almost equivalent to having so many cars loaded up there. So that's why the roof is like this, so that the water, the snow will keep on moving down, and it keeps the roof safe. So there you will see those black color tiles, and that black color tiles is the asphalt, and that's called asphalt shingles. So that's what this asphalt shingles is all about. And then in a pavement, we also use asphalt in our pavement here. That is very common throughout the world. Drywall, again, this is the partition wall. In individual houses in India, we still use brick wall, but many of these office buildings now you start seeing the drywalls coming up as well. So drywalls are used. So for the office building, plastic shows up everywhere these days. You may have some cardboard, you will have wood. You may have some like a lumber. Lumber means the real wood, and then you may have some engineered wood as well. Engineered wood is where those particle board, which is compressed particle board. These days, many furnitures are coming. Like you see some of these. We have some of these furnitures like beds or cupboards. They are all made of this particle board, compressed wood. We call it compressed wood. You look at, I'm trying to remember the name of those companies like Zuari, or there are some other companies out there that I'm not getting in the name of that, but there are a lot of companies now out there. Those are branded furniture, but if you look at their wood, it's not really the real wood. It's compressed wood. It's mostly sawdust, and they are compressed together. So that's what it is used for. Then you will have some metals. You may have some copper from the copper wire, iron, aluminum, and there could be some other sources. So these are the major components. And as you can see, if we can separate these into different fractions, as if we can separate the metals, we can in terms of copper and ferrous, aluminum, and lumber, engineered wood, plastic, cardboard. Each one of these can be easily recycled. So as long as we do the separation and either on site or take it to a C&D processing facility where we separate this, each of these has some market. Concrete can be used to make new concrete. Concrete can be used to, crushed concrete can be used as a filler material. Brick again can be broken down and used as a filling material. Asphalt shingles and asphalt pavement can be recycled back. Drywall, again, you can recycle back as a drywall. Drywall essential component there is calcium sulfate with 2 molecules of water, which is gypsum, and so that can be used back. Recycled drywall is also used as a amendment, so that is also there. So those are those things are used. Okay, so in terms of example of waste, if you look at some of the waste example from the residential building, again, as you can see over here, these are the asphalt shingles that I was referring to slightly ago. This is your asphalt shingles on top. So these are all asphalt shingles that you see. And the roof is slanted. So that if heavy rain or snow will come down. So that's why the roof is slanted over there. And so here in terms of the construction side, this is for the wood. This is for cardboard only. As you can see here, they have got it from the City of Gainesville recycling program, cardboard only. This seems to be only for wood, and there is another trash can here for some other type of waste. So you can have various trash cans where you can separate them. So this wood can be easily recycled, looks like very clean wood. Then cardboard can be easily recycled, and again here whatever is the material can be easily recycled. So those things, if you keep the things separate, so again, whether we are talking about Indian context, whether we are talking global context, the separation is the key. If we can keep our waste, different components of the waste stream nice and clean, see, it's kind of sometimes seems like we're talking about waste and and at the same time saying nice and clean, which doesn't really sound very good together. But I'm talking, waste is also a material. So if you think, and when you're going to recycle, it's actually recycled as a new material. So it's a recovered material. So if you can keep this material coming from the waste stream as a separate material. So if we here as done over here, wood is separate, and we have cardboard separate, and this another material separate. So this can be easily sent to the wood recycler. This can be easily gone to a cardboard recycler, and you can make some market you can make some money out of that. So as part of the new C&D waste management rules, as we discussed in the previous module, you also saw that the government is now trying to promote recycling. So even the construction companies are being asked to use some of this recycled material within their construction site or at somewhere else. So let's recycle these materials. So that's and if we can do something like this, where we can keep these different streams separate, our recycling becomes much easier. It's a good quality material. You can get good money out of that. So that's always is helpful in that regard. So this is another picture from the commercial site. As you can see from the commercial site, which construction is going on. So you will generate different types of waste, and then that needs to be collected and needs to be treated. Example of waste from the commercial demolition. As you can see over here in the demolition, you have some of this concrete. You have lots of rebars. So if the rebars can be taken out, and rebars are your reinforcement bars. So if that can be taken out, that can be used, it can be recycled as a ferrous. Concrete can be used to make the new concrete out of this. Concrete can be crushed and used as a filling material. So all those different types of applications can be done for that. Okay. Then options for managing C&D, how we can do it. So if we have this construction and demolition material, one of the option is you do it on site, where you process it for its reuse. So you do it on site or you do like a deconstruction. Deconstruction is a new word which is not that used that much. Deconstruction is basically you're not really doing a demolition. So you have an old house, and you have to get that house down and build a new house on top of that. So if possible, the concept nowadays is let's deconstruct that house. Deconstruct means you take one part at a time. That's more common, say, for in the Western world. Still they use a lot of wood, they have these asphalt shingles, they have wooden frames on which the asphalt shingle is there. So with the wood, only what you have to take out is the nails and other stuff, nails and screws and those things. If you can take out, you can start deconstructing. But when we are talking about concrete building with a slab and all those which is kind of integrated together, you really cannot do that much of a deconstruction, but still you can try to take actually say, okay, you can take the slab out, so let's bring down the building in such a way so that we can salvage some of the material. We can salvage some of the material which could be used for potential for future buildings or future. So if certain components can be used in the new building, let's salvage it and keep it and use it over there. So the deconstruction term is rather than demolition, you are actually taking one part at a time. You are taking one rather than bulldozing the whole building. You are actually taking the roof off, taking the asphalt shingles off, taking all those frames out, taking the roof off. So that way you can keep all these different materials separate, and that becomes easy for it to recycle as well. Then you can separate the recoverable material. Then other option is to processing and recovery at C&D material central recycling facility, or you can put it in a landfill. So after recycling, if there is certain things left which cannot be recycled, that can go to a C&D waste landfill. And C&D waste landfill in many places in the world does not require to have liner. So which is again there is a lot of debate on that. So we really need a liner in C&D landfill. With the nature of the houses also are getting lots of different types of organics and inorganic chemicals now. So we have to think about whether we should have a liner or not in a C&D landfill. But as of today, many area doesn't require to have a liner. So here this is one example where on-site management processing for reuse. So here the drywall is being recycled. So drywall is being recycled, crushed and made into a powder which could be used for certain application. So it can be used as a soil amendment in the agricultural application because it helps to maintain alkaline pH, and that's it's good for certain types of plants, especially peanuts and other stuff. It's used for those plants. So that then you can have, we already saw on-site management, separation of waste material. This example you already saw. If you have separate material that can be reused. Then you can have a deconstruction where this building is actually not being demolished, it's being deconstructed, as you can see from this picture to this picture to this picture. So if you watch it from this was the building earlier, then this was the building earlier. From here they went to this, and from there here they went to this one. So as you can see, from part by part they are taking the building down. On a closer view you can see that the frames are there, and that all the materials that has been taken out of the building, they almost look like very nicely separated. So it's a can be recycled, can be used again as a construction material. Of course you need to test the strength of that, and that our structural engineering friends will be able to help with that part of that. But we can do use many of these material on site or for some other project. And processing and recovery as a central recycling facility. So you are building everything at a C&D recycling facility where you are putting it through a recycling system where people will go through the material and try to separate it out. So here you can see something like this where there is a line, and if you look at these pictures very carefully, you will see lots of people. Actually there are a lot of there is a lot of manual labor involved. So there is a manual labor here which they are going through this picking line. So things gets loaded up on a conveyor belt, passes through this conveyor belt, and as it's going through the conveyor belt, there are people on both sides looking at the material, and they are dropping it off into those bunkers right here, which has different types of materials being collected. So this is how it works. So it's C&D, this is how the municipal solid waste management system recycling also works, the MRF, which we talked about in earlier module. So in terms of MRF, things are little bit not that heavy as it will happen in a C&D landfill. So for C&D recycling facility, getting sometimes labor is always a problem. So one area of research right now, or one area of I would say fascinating work that is going on right now, is can we use robots? Can we use robots who can help us in C&D recycling facility? For a country like India, we still have a lot of labor, we have unemployment issues, so probably we can find labor. Of course, it's a highly labor intensive, this requires a lot of effort to do things, but as you can see, there's this big like concrete, drywall, wood, and all those materials are heavy materials, concrete being I think the heaviest one. But still you may find workers who are ready to work in that particular situation, but they will have some ergonomic issues, their health issues, like lifting all those heavy things. But at the same time, if we somehow, especially in countries where labor is not that easily available, and so there is always a question of, can we use robots, can we train robots to do these things for us, and they can, once they are trained, they should be able to do it for us. So there is some issues associated with that. For one example I will give you, if you have two materials mixed together. So you have a wooden piece which is nailed in a concrete piece. Now in terms of, as a human, we will look at the wooden piece and a concrete piece, and probably what we may decide that, okay, let's keep this piece aside for now, and then we will take this nail out and then put this wooden in the wooden pile and the concrete in the concrete pile. But as a robot, they may not be that much intelligent. They will look at it on the whatever they see at the first. If the concrete piece is on top and the wooden is at the bottom, cannot be seen from the top, they may just put that concrete in the concrete pile, or the vice versa. If it's the wooden pile, if things in the top, they may put it in the wooden pile. So the thing is, there is a research is needed in terms of how to train these robots, to do proper job in a C&D recycling facility. So if you go on YouTube and start looking at use of robots in waste recycling, especially C&D waste recycling, you will see some examples already out there. There are some robots already developed, but in terms of how to make those robots intelligent. So some of you who, like unfortunately in today's, in Indian scenario today, civil engineering program, it's among the young crowd, it's not that popular. It's not that kind of so much, I would say, one of the cool department, like as per our young friends, they call in their language. So, but there are a lot of things in civil engineering, there are a lot of things in environmental engineering which is really cool, and this is one of the coolest stuff, where you can get the robots and come and do this. So how to train these robots? So that's we need to, of course, we need the friends from different discipline to help us in terms of the robotics and other stuff. But as an environmental engineer, we have a role as well, how to train them better. And then at the same time, there are other, like robots are also used for sewer line. Say in one side, just recently in like just in the month of July, in August, there have been a lot of in this year there have been a lot of discussion on use of man in sewer cleaning. So remember, still today people are going down that manhole and trying to clean those sewer line and so they are actually going into the sewer. So think about that, all that nasty water that you are flushing down the toilet, somebody has to go down in the sewer line and to clean it for you, and clean so that the city sewerage system works properly. That looks really, it should not happen in today's world, when we are talking about so much about going to moon, going to Mars and all that, but at the same time we have people going in there. So many developed countries, what they're doing, they're using robots for that. So they are, if they have to send somebody into the sewerage line, the robots are going there, and you can talk to robot, you can give instruction to robot what to do, and the robots will do it for you. So those are things which is applications of a very fancy technology, even laser technology, another thing into the recycling stream, both for C&D waste and more for municipal solid waste, is to use this laser technology in terms of sorting. When we are trying to sort different types of material, can we use this laser technology? Laser is being used right now. The Titech, one company, Titech, is very popular in terms of separating different types of plastics and other stuff based on color, based on weight. Even we are using different types of techniques out there, but there are a lot of applications. There are a lot of applications of all these so-called cool technology in area of waste management. So if you are interested in those cool technologies, I would encourage you to at least look at how they can be applied in a waste management scenario, and you can help create something new which will be helpful in terms of our objective to meet in waste management area. So finally, if you cannot do the landfill, if you cannot do recycling, so whatever the material is left which cannot be recycled, recycling Either sometimes what happens is in certain parts of the world landfilling is cheaper, so recycling is costlier, so and then still the material is available, the material cost is not that high compared to in terms of that economics that we are talking about. So waste does go into the landfill. Which is unfortunate part of this, especially C&D waste, most of it could be easily recycled, but they do end up in landfill. So if they go to the landfill, that has to be managed in a particular way. So you have to again do the compaction. As you can see over here, looks very similar to a municipal solid waste landfill, but here you don't have food waste and other stuff. You should not have food waste and other stuff. So mostly it's concrete, drywall, wood, bricks, some of these iron, steel and all that. So you will have those materials showing up, and then some cardboards and other things are there. So you compact it using this compactor, and you can kind of take it to the just manage it as a landfill. So this is another picture of the landfill where you see this quarry. This is all clay. You can see from the clay color, this is all clay material right there. So clay is good as a liner. So if you don't have to put a HDPE synthetic liner on top of that. C&D landfill, as I said, many parts of the world doesn't require a liner system, but if we try to have try to use an area which has good amount of clay. So because if any leakage of leachate is there, it should get prevented by this clay liner or the clay barrier. So this and you dump the waste in here, do the compaction. One of the problem in a C&D landfill, especially in the developed countries, is because of the use of gypsum drywall, the H2S, hydrogen sulfide, in anaerobic condition gets produced, and hydrogen sulfide is always it's a nasty gas. It creates a lot of nuisance around this landfill site. So, and you can use the land disposal of a clean inert fill. So many times we can use this inert material we use as a land so we can inert filling is done of that material as well in a low-lying area. So proper management is important. Proper management has a regulatory requirement. We talked about the regulatory requirement in the previous video. We talked regulatory requirement is there. Improper management can cause human health and environment issues, so you already know that. Sustainable recycling will only succeed if performed in a thoughtful, thought out, safe and effective manner. So in terms of having a sustainable recycling, one of the important things is economics has to work. I don't know how many times I've already said this, but economics has to work. If the economics doesn't work, things does not, you cannot have subsidy going on in a program for a long period of time. So even for C&D recycling, when you are recycling those material, there should be good amount of market for it. You should be able to get some money out of it so that you are at least self-sufficient. If you are not making a lot of money, but you should be at least self-sufficient. So that's it's very, very critical in terms of having a proper recycling of C&D waste. So in terms of recycling approaches, you can do the separation at the job site, very similar to MSW management, what we said, separation at source. So here also separation at job site. That is one possibility. If that's a problem because the job site is very small, you don't have a space to keep different types of trash cans over there, the next thing you can do is a separation at a mixed waste processing facility. So you take it to a mixed waste processing facility and you separate it over there. It could be manual separation, it could be combination of manual and mechanical separation, it could be just mechanical separation, depending on how much money you have, what is the availability of the local labor. So you can go for more mechanized system. More the mechanized the system, more costly it is in terms of building it up, but in the long run you require less labor. So if you require less labor, you are saving in terms of the operation and maintenance cost. So you have to look at the trade-off in terms of how much more it's causing to go for like a fully automated system and versus having some manual system or a combination of both. Many places you will see essentially combination of both, because machine sometimes still requires human help, because otherwise it is, again, as I said earlier, if you have a concrete piece and a wooden piece nailed together, so machine will look at either wooden piece or the concrete piece, because wherever that sensor, whatever sensor type of sensor you use, so once it sees concrete, it will put it in the concrete pile, but actually there is a big wooden piece behind it, or vice versa. So for that, human are always needed. So usually you will see a combination of mechanization and the human labor. Market for C&D debris, for each one of them is Portland cement concrete, asphalt concrete, which is like a asphalt wood, drywall, asphalt roofing shingles. There are markets out there, is out there. Asphalt concrete can be used back in asphalt. Wood can be used as a boiler fuel. Drywall recycled to make new drywall. Drywall can go for a soil amendment. Asphalt roofing shingles, again you can melt that asphalt, can be used as a road construction, and can even make a new asphalt roofing shingle out of that. So those things are there. So in terms of concrete, we use Portland cement concrete. That's the concrete is called Portland cement concrete, and asphalt is called asphalt concrete. So this definition is from the Western world. In an Indian context, many times when we say asphalt, actually we use the word bitumen too. So bitumen is also part of. So asphalt concrete is actually bitumen. So that's what asphalt cement. There is a term used in say US or Canada, that asphalt cement. Asphalt cement is actually bitumen. So with bitumen, with all the other materials together, becomes asphalt. So let's wait. We'll continue this discussion in the next module. So let's close this module at this particular point, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail in terms of different components of C&D waste, and what is Portland cement concrete, what is asphalt, and what are the different components. We'll talk about that. So to give you more idea on this one. So again, I hope you are enjoying the course. We are kind of like very close to the end of week 10. I think one more video and the week 10 will be over, and so it's then we have 2 more weeks left, and we have to talk about C&D waste, we have to talk about electronic waste. So those are the 2 areas which the C&D waste will cover. We'll finish it up, and then we'll go into the electronic waste. So keep the discussion board working, and as part of the electronic waste, if you remember earlier in one of the previous week, we gave you an assignment which was kind of we wanted to know how the waste is being managed in your area. So your responses has been received, and we are working on the responses. So we'll actually share the result with you towards the end of 12th week. I may have a extra video there, half an hour extra video, where we'll talk about the 2 surveys we will do in this course, which one survey which you already got, in terms of which many of you have responded. If you have not, please go ahead and respond now. It's basically to find out, since there are so many people registered for this course, we are talking about waste management. We want to know how the waste is managed in your locality. And it will be really nice for all the people in this class to know that how the waste is being managed throughout India. So since the people in this course are from different parts of the country, it will be really nice to know what is the waste management situation in the country as of today. And only you can help us find that, because so if you have not answered these questions, please go ahead and answer. It's a very simple Google form, and if you answer those questions, and we will be we'll compile all that and share that data with you. So it's basically you will see that what you have give the information in terms of a whole country, how the waste management changes from one part of the other part, how the situation is in the different part. That's a very important information, and that's a good thing to learn as kind of towards the end of this course. Same thing we'll do on electronic waste. That's a slightly different type of like a questionnaire, very simple, but you will get a questionnaire on electronic waste as well. You haven't got it yet, but you will get one on electronic waste when we'll talk about that, and then I will require your assistance. And both for municipal solid waste and for electronic waste, I will have a last half an hour extra video where we'll summarize that information and show you in form of a bar charts and those kind of stuff, like whatever information you have provided to us. So with that, again, thank you, and looking forward to seeing you again in the next video.